All right, welcome back to Decision Games War in Europe, 1999 edition, using the updated rules here, looks like as of 2004. And we are doing the Fall of France scenario, and we are right at the beginning here with what I'm going to play the historical option of the scenario, where basically you follow the Germans get a pregame move, and the Allies have to move their units into Belgium. Dial plan, I think it was called, which of course shortens the length of the game from 22 turns to 7. And the Germans have 7 turns to establish Vichy France, and the way you do that is they have to get a supplied unit in Paris, and then they roll the dice. But for every 3 Commonwealth formation here, it increases the roll, so it's impossible. It's possible to roll greater than a 5. So with that said, let's take a look at 2 interesting things here, rules-wise. We go to the French scenario, the France scenario, I misspoke here, and we take a look at it here. German pregame turn. German player may move his units as in an initial movement phase. That's all I'm going to do. Zones of control do not extend across borders. Okay, the cost for German units to enter or leave an enemy zone of control is reduced to 1, as is the movement cost for an overrun. No forced marching. So these are the guidelines I'm going to follow for this first part of the turn. Now, or for this pregame turn, and that's all I'm going to do. An initial move, and where overruns present themselves, try and take them, although looking at the board, the only real place is right here in the Ardennes with these weak Belgian units. So that's the only place we're going to see overruns. Maginot Line, read the rules for that. It's 20 intrinsic defense. I mean, like, if you attack from the front, I don't think so. If you get behind it, it's 10 intrinsic defense. Again, I think we're going to avoid the Maginot Line. And so therefore, that's going to funnel our attack this way, which is fine. I believe this is Seine, and if we can get across here, and then we can drive for Paris and potentially do the sickle cut here. So let's put the pieces back here. All right, so bringing the rules back up, the other interesting thing I found is the Netherlands surrender if Rotterdam is taken, not the capital. So let me find Allied, dang, just had it up here. Here we go. Well, there's Belgium, that's close enough. Here's the Netherlands. Surrender. The Netherlands surrender, and all Dutch forces are removed from play at the end of game turn in which Rotterdam 3305 is occupied by a German unit. That's right here. Now, for whatever reason, they didn't put anybody in Rotterdam. And just to confirm, the deployment 3403, 35, 35, and 36, and 35. So nobody's in 33. So what we're going to see is, let me pull out my new handy dandy epic pen, they call it. The Germans are going to be able to go right here to Rotterdam. Then they're probably going to go over here and lock people in Zoch too. And then, we got all these guys. They're going to set up no overruns, but they're basically going to freeze everything in place here. And the Germans are also going to have the opportunity to do, well, not that one. Well, at least overrun here, and then everybody else is going to, I got to get better with this pen. Just going to close up. And when I looked at the map, it looks like, the Maginot Line goes to here, and then here is where it gets weak. So once the Germans do this, it looked like they had 2 options in the second turn. I'm going to change my color. Well, they could go through here. I mean, that would be, but it's kind of Zochs all the way and engage them at the front. And why would they do that if the Allies are just forced to move this way? So instead, the focus of their attack is pretty much going to be right here. and to try on the first turn to blow through here. And if they can, then they're in a position to do, either head over to Paris and or try and, cut everybody off, because Paris is the supply center, which looks like it's pretty historical here. Meanwhile, screening all this stuff off. So that looks like the plan here for their initial move. So what I'm going to do is pause it here. If I can find the pause button. That doesn't work. Okay, there it is. Oops. Yeah, I'm going to pause it here, and I'm going to load up the German initial move. All right, here's a move. Two important points here looking at the terrain. I've zoomed in a little. First off, what are these hexes? Are they broken or are they rough? And that's a key component here. Now, when I look at it, I think they're broken because these look like rough, and then these look like mountains here. So these are broken hexes all through here. They're not rough. And if we go to the terrain effects chart here, let's see what rough does. Sorry, go away. Didn't ask for that, Apple. There we go. Sorry. And if we go to the terrain effects chart now, I think I need to scroll this a little. There we go. We see that broken are 1 MP for both types of units. Okay. The other type of terrain in play here are rivers, and it's only +1 for a mech unit. So with that in play, we do find out these two, there was 365s. You can only overrun a 3 unit, and that 10-8 moved up later. And with the rules about just +1 for ZOC, +1 for overrun, and the ZOC of the unit or overrun doesn't count, that means that I think the infantry came from here. It would have been 1, 2, 3, 4. 3 for entering this guy's ZOC, and then 4, or this guy's, and then 4 for overrunning. So the 3 infantry units can pull off an overrun because broken hexes only cost 1, and they don't pay for crossing rivers, and it's only 1. So with that unit out of the way, then I had 2 10-8s that were stuck, 2 Panzer divisions. I think they were back here or around here, and they could have gone that way or that way. But per my previous discussion, I don't want to go this way, because all these guys are going to move up and ahead, okay? If I wanted to surround Brussels and Belgium, maybe I would do that. But then these guys would be freed up. They could shift over here on the first turn. So I want them to move here. And then later I can pivot going this way, maybe, if I want to trap those guys. But I've also got to drive on Paris. So those are the 2 overruns. And then because these 2 are then not there, this allowed this 1 Panzer division. You can always say it's Guderian or something, or Rommel, the 7th Panzer. Allowed them to have just enough movement points to get here. So that puts, 3 Panzer divisions on the Seine River here. And then the goal next time, because the Germans can move, is they can probably overrun. Well, they'll need a little bit more horsepower. They'll probably have to pull a 10-8 here because they're going across the river. They'll get halved, but if they've got 30, that's 15. They can overrun to here, which then puts them on the other side of the river, the edge of the Maginot Line. And then they can, the focus big attack is going to be these guys. See if we can open that up after the combat phase, and then movement, who knows what. And the irony is that then the Allies still have to move all these guys this way. So I can see why it's 7 turns. So, and then we did have up here, like I said, where they came in and they took Rotterdam. And the rest of the units were up here just kind of pinned down these guys. And these guys can't go anywhere. So probably at the end of next turn, we'll reinforce Rotterdam, move up, pin these guys. I don't even think we'll waste an attack on them. We'll just wait for the Netherlands to surrender because of taking Rotterdam. Here we're just going to try and threaten, and, keep things engaged. And here we just tried to move as much infantry as possible. And like I said, I'm tempted to just do the historical, drop the Fallschirmjäger here, just to see how it plays out. Let me do hide map. Yeah, Liege, there it is. So we'll see. Figure that out next turn. So I think that's my recording. I'm at 10 minutes. So the next thing I'm going to do after this is start the turn. And we're going to see the air superiority. Some interesting comments on my previous video. I may play it where the Allies go up and the Germans just put up 11. And then they have, a good chunk, 9-8-17 for doing air support, but also doing air interdiction, because I think the special rules also say for air interdiction it's 4. Yeah, let's see, let's come back. Let's go to the bottom. Sorry, I'm on a Mac and the scroll wheel is the opposite direction. Game turn 1. Yeah, here's the forced march rule. These guys are immobilized. I'll find them later. After the completion of pre-game turn, German player begins turn 1. Special rules. Again, the 1 movement point is still in place for Zoc. Cost for Allied units to enter a hex containing a German air interdiction marker is, 4. So that pretty much immobilizes infantry. And Allied units may not force march or use rail movement. So that's the first turn. So the Allies, so these guys are pretty much pinned. That was my goal here by putting them in Zocs. We'll see, and then they can put air interdiction back here. So yeah, I think I'll do 11. We'll take our losses. 11. There's some recommendation to do 2/3 and let the other side do the attacks. They don't think they can get air superiority. I'll just do 11, have all the Allies come up, and then have 7 left. And again, that's the one thing I have to fudge playing solo, is how to handle air combat, so I'll just try and seem historical there. All right, so that's the German pregame turn. We have some overruns here. Going to remove those 2 units, clean this up, and then when we come back, we'll do the air phase, see how that battles out, and then we'll proceed into turn 1 with the special rules. I mean, in theory, the Germans could be across the Seine, I don't know how to pronounce that, after their turn 1, while the Allies are kind of running up to the Dial River or whatever the place was. So it positions the Germans to trap them. All right, so thanks for listening, and we'll see you at the next recording.